Flight Boss, bitch, for sure. You're now listening to the Mind of an Atari's Mill, Flight Boss, the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And right now, this is the last discussion on motherfucking tropical and tropical and sidereal, because a lot of people want to say things was formulated in the East first, where you don't even really know what East is. What is East? There's always an East relative to another location. And then another thing, all I'm saying is this. Now, all I'm saying is it's very essential to add sidereal, to add Vedic, to whatever astrology you're doing. My only thing I'm saying is those are not technically what people are trying to call sidereal and Vedic. It's just astrology. And I'm trying to explain how that can get you lost. Also, when we get to people talking about it makes more sense or is more accurate, this is not even that kind of party. What I'm basically saying is you cannot create a horoscope based on the fixed stars. And that's what sidereal and Vedic try to do. Because you cannot know if a fixed star is rising or accumulating, or if it's in a spot it don't want to be in. You can only know that from the stars that's moving close to you. So this lets you know that it's not about the star. It's not about the actual star itself, whether it's fixed or not, whether it's a close star to you. It's about the space that it's in. Because this is why you're able to have the sun in a different sign than someone else, which is the space. So think about if the sun is moving because you're close to it, but look at it as if the sun is a fixed star and we're trying to base a system, we're trying to base a horoscope system off of something that we don't know what space is in really. So we can only tell what influence that star would have on the stars that we can see moving in the space. So based upon what space we see the star in, that's what we're going to see that star influence playing out. The star is going to play the influence out of that space. For an example, you have a different constellation in your houses. Same way, if the Aries, this is where it get confused. Aries space, first house. Let's just say the first house. The first house created the Aries star constellation. But any constellation that move in that house have to play out the characteristics of that space. So if you are a Libra ascendant, you have to curate your personality, personal issues, affairs in a Libran way. If you are a Sagittarius ascendant, you have to curate your personality, personal issues in a Sagittarian way. So you see how the space don't change, but the star there change? Same way the season don't change, but the influences of how the season react and change because of the stars that's there. So that's what a horoscope is. Understanding what space we are in so we can understand what kind of influences the stars is giving off within that space. So we may have a group of stars in a fiery space, aka the Pisces constellation in the Aries space. So when we say a person is an Aries, we just saying the person was born in the first house. That's all we're saying. But it got confused when we start calling Aries the first house. But the first house is created Aries. Same way the second house created Taurus. So we're just calling the houses these signs. And then sidereal even go above that and go down to a more religious aspect of it. So this is what you have to understand. It's different realms of realities of how we're supposed to look at it, but we start to get separate when we start to limit ourselves into language and words and giving things titles and saying, no, this is this thing and this is this thing, where it's all just one thing. And that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. It's all just one thing. So that's what I'm trying to get people to understand. And when you really dive in deep to astrology, you will start to understand that when you're doing horoscopes, it's based upon the rising and it's based upon the influences of the space you are in, not the stars that's in the space that you are in. Then once you understand the space you are in, then that's when a astrologer would be like, okay, let's add sidereal, let's add Vedic. And then, but what I'm trying to say is that's not actually sidereal Vedic. It's just the same thing you just did. Now you're just trying to understand the higher clock now. But the people who came in and called it sidereal and called it Vedic created sciences around it, and I'm just trying to tell you that if you pinpoint the sciences that's around it, it's backed and supported by religious annotations. That's all I'm saying. Is backed and supported by religious annotations. This is why many different civilizations got many different frequency vibrations that's correlated to the fixed stars. That's why every fixed stars you got Greeks, they got their names for the fixed stars. You got the Egyptians, they got their name. The Mesopotamian, everybody got their different names for the fixed stars. So they got their different ways of how they looked at these influences, but they understood these influences based upon the space that they were in, because they understand that it was as above so below. So if you understand that, you wouldn't say things like, oh, this astrology is more accurate, or this. You will understand the level of my argument. The level of my argument ain't consistent. This astrology is better than this astrology, or this. I am an astrologer, so other astrologers probably understand my argument. But that's what I'm trying to explain to you. I'm not in the realm of saying, okay, this one better than this one better. I'm trying to rectify on the issues in the astrological world for astrologers. That's where I'm at. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, when you dive in deep, that's what you would truly understand. Now, if you want to pick and choose, cherry pick, like what people do with each different religion and each different Bible, they cherry pick what they like out of it and keep. I mean, I understand. Don't think just because the way my videos is, I don't understand what's going on. I understand what Vedic is. I understand anyone who even got a reading from me, my readings in general add everything. You have to understand it. All right, for an example, say you a Pacific sign. Your Mercury is, or your Jupiter or your Venus is in probably 4 degrees Cancer, right? So it's in Cancer, but then the way your house is it may be in an air sign. It may be in the Gemini house. So I'm not going to call you a Gemini. What I'm going to say is I understand houses. So what I'm going to say is, okay, you are born in the Cancer space, so you are a Cancer, but you are influenced by the Gemini stars. So the kind of Cancer you are is a person that know how to take their emotions and feelings and put it into words. So this is why I'm able to say things like, this is why a lot of Cancers become comedians. This is why a lot of Cancers can hold grudges. This is why a lot of Cancers can help you feel comfortable with yourself, because if you're going through emotional distress, they know how to connect with that, but they know how to put it in words. You see what I'm saying? So they're getting all this influence that's modifying their Cancer space. They're in that space. They're in a water space, but it's modified by being able to communicate. Now, it may have been one point in time when the civilization Cancers wasn't like that, based upon what group of stars was in that space. But what I'm trying to get you to understand is it's very tricky when you get to Vedic and sidereal and religious and things of that nature, because we don't even actually know if that's where the original fixed stars started at. See, when you go back to where the stars started at 2,000 years ago, sidereal and Vedic is basing their alignment, they're basing their separation based upon where tropical started, where understanding the equinoxes and that, right? So that's tropical. So they're basing their science based upon the separation of the time and the date. But their starting line was tropical. And what I'm trying to get you to understand is they don't know if that's where the fixed star started. They're going by where the closest star tropical wise started, and then they're going off that, and the fixed stars preceded these stars. You see what I'm saying? Because it's outside of us, so we don't actually know the true movement. You see what I'm saying? So it's like you're basing a system off the fixed stars, and you can't. And 2,000 years ago, it started with the tropical way of looking at things. Now, here's another confusion. they people saying that tropical don't keep up with the time because they're not aligning the fixed stars. And if you're really into astrology, you will understand that that's a misconception. That's a go-to argument. And that's actually false. Listen, you're on Earth. So what do you think us calling the time 23 hours and 50 something seconds throughout the day? What do you think is the reason that we got the fucking leap year years? What is the fuck you think the reason when you're on Earth we set time an hour back? Because of that. Like don't skip past that. That is tropical. The space you are in. Do you get it? Like the go-to Vedic argument in sidereal, they'd be like, well, tropical is not going by the fixed stars or whatever like that. Yet they're on Earth and experiencing the calendar changing. What you think that's for? Because the stars, dumbass. So our way of keeping track of our space is tropical because of the equinox and the vernal. You know what I'm saying? Now the stars that's in the spaces, we understand that, so we add it. This is why you're able to have different planets in different houses. So just because you're an Aries sun don't mean your sun is going to be in the first house. You see what I'm saying? Just because you're a Capricorn sun don't mean your sun is going to be in the 10th house. Do you get it? That's the whole point of the math. So I don't understand it. For that kind of argument going to have to be for someone who just solely study Vedic and sidereal. I'm a person who got into both of them. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna be honest with you, right? In sidereal, I'm a Pisces sun, 15 degrees Scorpio, which still lands in the fixed star Antares in Vedic astrology, and Cancer moon. Now, me being a fire, now when I was first getting into it, right, I started blaming all my problems and issues that I was going through in my life because of the fire. So you think I didn't want to be the water? You know what I'm saying? You think y'all could probably go to my videos in 2014 and hear me saying I'm a Scorpio moon. You see what I'm saying? Like that's when I was. So don't think what I'm saying right now is I'm new to this shit. Like I've been blending the two, been looking at it as all as one, but I just been trying to be agreeable to all the other astrologers and things of that nature by not arousing my thoughts in between them. I just been on agreeable terms. I look at it like everybody else. Okay, it's a good thing to add tropical and sidereal, but the more and more you do readings, and then you start to analyze, you start to realize that you really only doing one thing, and then once you start to break down what you're actually doing, you start to realize where it all came from. So that is my whole purpose of these few videos that I made. It's not a hatred towards sidereal or Vedic. It's just trying to get people to realize what we're actually doing, and the simple fact that you're calling it sidereal and Vedic and creating a horoscopic system around it, I will have to say that's religious and false divination. Now, what I'm saying is, I'm not saying it's not accurate. The influences of where the star is really at is accurate. That's what I'm telling you. It can accurately tell you your outside influences. These outside influences that you're going to experience. Now, only thing I'm saying is if you want to know how you're going to bounce back, how you're going to respond to these, then you're going to have to know your stars, your planet, your space. You see what I'm saying? And then once you know yourself, you can handle these influences better. So you don't witness the disgrace that they may tell you. So you don't have to witness these type of rituals that they're going to, and spells that they tell you that you have to go into. You can know what's actually going on and know how to handle these influences. So if you got a fixed star conjuncting or opposing, that's a big ass heavy influence. Trust me, I know. My moon is in Antares. My sun is Draco. That's a heavy amount of motherfucking influence. So in order for me to know how to handle all these influences that I'm getting, I gotta know myself. I gotta know what space I'm in. My moon is in a Sagittarius space. So my moon is 8 degrees Sagittarius. So if it's the fixed star Antares, which is the heart of the Scorpio, I know all these Uriel influences that is going to make me realize. So in order for me not to get overwhelmed, I got to know what space I'm in. My moon is in a fiery space. So I got to gain, so that Sagittarius fiery space means I got to gain wisdom, knowledge, meaning and reasoning, and add meaning and reasoning to these emotions and feelings that I'm having, aka the moon, or I'm not going to be able to handle all these chaotic emotions and feelings unless I'm able to attach meaning and reasoning and extract wisdom and knowledge out of this shit. And once I do that, it would expand. Because that's what Jupiter helps do. So you see what I'm saying? That right now, an average astrologer would be thinking like, well, you just mixed tropical and sidereal. And what I'm telling you is, no, that's how I do all charts. Because that's why I say I'm the moon and Antares moon. And what I'm trying to say is, I didn't came to the final conclusion that I'm only doing one thing. But if you want to look at it in hindsight, that's a piece of everything. That's Vedic, that's sidereal, that's fixed stars, that's horoscopic, that's locational, that's everything. All in one I just brought to you. You see what I'm saying? But what I'm trying to tell y'all is, it takes somebody who do that, who dived in deep enough to understand like, oh shit, it's really just one thing. And if I was to dive solely into everything that the Vedic and sidereal do, I'm going to start feeling like I'm getting a little religious. I'm going to start feeling like I'm a fortune teller. And as an astrologer, we're not supposed to feel like fortune tellers. We're supposed to give empowerment to make the person feel like they can do whatever they want to do. Not that they have to sit around and wait for certain times to do certain things. Life don't work that way. We create with our imagination. So the moment we let outside influences dictate our imagination, aka outside influences, I gotta tie that to sidereal and Vedic. I'm sorry. We gotta, just like religion. Everything ain't bad about religion. The spirit, those spirit beings that rule that theology and those outlooks and concepts, some hard ass motherfucking spirits. If it's right or wrong, the energy frequency that these motherfuckers carry is some hard ass shit. So you gotta give respect where it's due, but then you gotta pinpoint where something wrong got too. You can't be biased. You gotta know when something's fucking up. That's it. Don't matter who you are. You could be in a relationship with somebody and they did everything right for you. The moment they fucked up, you gotta say they fucked up. You can't give them the benefit of the doubt because of what they did yesterday. If they did something today and they fucked up, they gotta know they fucked up. Or else that's gonna go down a slippery slope, and then that's gonna go down a bad path. To the point that you start to motherfucking compromise with shit, and that's what a lot of sidereal and Vedic do. The main compromise is even calling the space that you're in, which is horoscopic astrology, the constellations of the stars. So now we get shit like it's two signs. There's no such thing as two signs. Damn. Flight boss, bitch, goddamn air.